welcome to Focus on B, the video series where I spent about 20 or so minutes playing and talking about a game that I've got some thoughts on, and this is Hot Wheels Velocity X, also known as Velocity X Maximum Justice. I only just recently found out that that was its subtitle. I had no idea. You know, for the longest time, I used to call this game Velocity X. I thought it was intentional. I thought it was really clever. See, because at least where I live, and I know for a lot of other parts of the world, velo is a word for like wheel or bike, like a bike lane. We call it the velo lane. So I was thinking, ooh, okay, so it's a city of wheels because it's Hot Wheels, and X because X is cool, right? So it's like Velo City, but also like Velocity. I got the pun, so I thought it was a pun. No, I think it's just supposed to be Velocity X. I have no idea. There's actually a video, a behind-the-scenes video of them like making the game, so you can go and check how they pronounce it there. I don't remember. Anyway, what kind of game is this? It's a, to my surprise, after my childhood memories, it's actually a vehicular combat game. That's right, this isn't a straight-up racing game. Of all things, it's actually a vehicular combat game with a slight element of racing. Although the combat is, oh, motherfucker, this is basically Twisted Metal for kids. Kind of. The driving and time trial type events are heavily de-emphasized. They do exist, but they're not super in the forefront, right? And I also like how some of the environments are very reminiscent of those from Hot Wheels Turbo Racing, which was actually not too old by the time this game came out. In fact, when this game came out, that game was only, I think, 3 years old. This was 2002, right? Beat Belcher to down... Wait a second. Haven't I already done this mission? I mean, not in this video, but I swear to God I completed this mission before record. Doesn't matter. So this is a mission-based racing game, which is something I never expected from the Hot Wheels brand. That's one thing that's always surprised me about the history of Hot Wheels games. So when you think of a licensed toy game, you just think of complete generic garbage cash grab, like you just take a stock genre and fucking slap it on there. And you could have done that with Hot Wheels, but funnily enough, they don't seem to do that. I mean, yes, they're all racing games, obviously, but I mean, this, for example, is a very unique kind of game. It's not completely original as a concept. There's other games like this, absolutely. There's other racing games with weapons, but the way this game combines its stunting mechanics, the weapons, and the driving, it feels kind of fresh even today. I can't say that there's many other games that are completely identical to this. In fact, the vehicular combat subgenre is very niche. The closest it's ever gotten to being popular is, I guess, Mario Kart. But Mario Kart is not a vehicular combat game. It's a kart racer with weapons. So, yeah, there's an element of that, but it's not necessarily Wipeout, right? It's not Carmageddon. It's not Twisted Metal. It's not this. This isn't actually my favorite Hot Wheels game. It's one of those games where, as I get older, I realize it's actually a fairly good game, but my taste in games kind of makes me not like it as much, right? In fact, out of all of the... Oh, is this mission fail? Oh, shit. No. Yeah, objective failed. You escaped with the uranium. Ah, so I have to not let him escape with the urine. Okay, good. I'll try that. Anyway... Oh yeah, you get to pick another car. This is the car selection. Got a lot of cars. And for some reason you get the Twin Mill 2, which in this game is like a low-level car, whereas in Hot Wheels Turbo Racing, it's like one of the best cars in the game. I always find that really weird. But no, I need to pick one of the later cars that I've unlocked because typically the progression system works in such a way where, you know, you unlock the better cars as you go. So this is the last car I've unlocked, so clearly it's got to be the better one, right? That's generally how it works. Let's just drive a little bit better and see if I can succeed. If not, I'll just showcase some other missions in the challenge mode as well. I think that's what I mainly played as a kid. I think. Because, why would that be the case? I think it's because I remember a lot of the missions that I do not remember here. Like, yes, I remember these environments, but I distinctly recall that, for example, the starting missions were set in a city, and yes, they are set in a city, but not in like a sunset-baked, like sunset-soaked city, like it is in the standard adventure mode. Not to mention, when I was a kid, for some reason, I was absolutely horrified of certain game cutscenes, and this game has them with that dated CG, so there's a good chance I might have been too scared to play those because they had the cutscenes. that's also a possibility. We're gonna find out what actually happens later on. There's actually a pretty decent wealth of environments in this game, and as I mentioned, they do feel like this, for example, feels a lot like Road to Rustwell, right? From Need for Speed. Oh wait, wait a second. Why am I going this way? I don't know. I'm just following the arrow from Hot Wheels Turbo. Oh motherfucker! I knew that this was the wrong way. Should I just restart? No, I think the game's gonna rubber band pretty heavily. In fact, if I remember correctly, at this point I'm not racing him, I just have to deliver it. See, because every single mission in this game is split into sub-objectives. So for example, right now, I just have to deliver the uranium, not necessarily race him or anything. The race happens later. It's kind of like in GTA, sort of, where you have to like get to a destination and then it triggers something else happening. And I just find it so odd that this Hot Wheels game, which is probably marketed to a very young audience, is just about vehicular manslaughter. You know, you literally go into these cars and it's canon that they're piloted by people, and you just fucking kill everyone. Like, you outright murder them. You don't see anything of them. You don't see them flee from their cars. They're just dead. And that is absolutely insane, right? Like with the newer ones, they don't even have the balls to like make them actual cars. They make them very accurate depictions of toys, which to be fair is very technically impressive. Like seriously, Hot Wheels Unleashed and Unleashed 2 have an incredible amount of detail when it comes to making these toys feel like toys as opposed to toys brought to life. Like the fingerprints, the smudges, the slight dents in the plastic. It's just, oh my god, it is some of the most real looking cars I've ever seen, and they run like butter, you know, on even my pretty... Oh, for fuck's sake, they made reverse and brake circle instead of square. Of course, I'm emulating the PS2 version because ain't no way in hell I'm trying to get the PC version working on this. But yeah, even on my pretty mid PC, it runs really, really smooth at like the highest settings. So great job on that, Milestone. I mean, go figure. Of course, Milestone, you know, people who have quite a lot of experience making lots of racing games would go ahead and make a pretty decent racing game. I never expected them to get those guys to make that game, by the way. Like, that's what shocked me the most. I was like, why would you get the MotoGP guys to make your Hot Wheels game? I mean, I guess it's a better choice than Eutechnyx after Red Dead. I keep forgetting, by the way. Yeah, I know, I fucking failed again. We're gonna do this shit again. I keep forgetting this game also has a sidestep. Yeah, the movement in Hot Wheels Velocity X is... Let's just use the default card. At this point, I just don't care. The movement in Velocity X is the kind that... It's kind of similar to the Cars 2 video game, where it has a lot of moves that are not typical for a normal driving game, right? So you can do this, like, side bash, which you can also do in the Cars 2 game. This game came out like a decade prior, so I wonder who aped who. But look, if I do this, I can do this dash, and it actually does damage to my opponent. So I'm going to want to use it a little more often, I think, in order to actually stand a chance. This is the car that was on the cover. I think I actually own this car myself. Like, I own a lot of these cars in... I don't... Obviously, I'm a grown-ass man. I don't play with them anymore. But I do... I think I still have them somewhere in a box. Just a heavy-ass box filled with these chunky Hot Wheels, you know, cars made of metal. It's like... It's heavy, man. Because it's like just... I bet if you melted it down, it'd be like... a lot of steel or a lot of whatever they make them, because, you know, at least they feel solid. Maybe they're all just plastic, they just feel very solid, but hey, that's all that really counts, that it doesn't feel cheap, because sometimes they're really not that cheap, all things considered, because of licensing and stuff. But still, what was I talking about the gameplay, oh yeah, so much to my dismay, it's like I recently revisited this game and I realized, wait a second, this is a vehicular combat game. This is not a racing game. There are driving-based challenges, but that's what really caught me off guard. The fact that this is not a game focused on the part that I truly care about. Yes, you do have an incentive to drive well. As you can see, you want to collect these clocks and avoid the cones because hitting them takes away some of your time. So there is an emphasis on driving, but after this, I believe I'm going to have to fight the guy. Right, like almost every mission finishes in some kind of encounter. And that's when I realized I don't like vehicular combat games. I've never liked Twisted Metal. I never cared for Carmageddon. I don't dislike Wipeout, although I do kind of like Wipeout Pulse. And like, here's the thing, my opinions on Wipeout are all over the place. And it's not because of the combat, though. It's because those games are just way too fast and super punishing. That's a separate thing. You could take the weapons out and I would still be just as mixed on Wipeout, although I have spoken positively about Wipeout Pulse and Pure. And you'd think it'd be nostalgia because I've mentioned several times that I owned the PSP as a kid, but I never owned those games, right? Because at the time I didn't know you could also pirate on PSP. I had no idea. So I thought you had to buy them, and I just never found them in any stores. Well, I probably would have bought them if I had seen them because they look kind of cool, right? They seem like they would have been right up my alley back then. But instead I got Locoroco, and Locoroco's cool. What place am I even in? I actually have no idea. Also, just noticed this really weird thing. You can see, you know how like every car on the map is a red dot? You can actually see your own, yeah, I knew it, there it is. You can see your own red dot underneath your arrow. So now I have to try and fight them, even though I still don't quite understand how the combat mechanics work, but I mean, really, there's not that much to get. And that's why I don't really care for these games, because it's, at least I don't see the nuance, and maybe this isn't a great example of the genre. I don't think this is setting the standard for the vehicular oh, what the fuck, man? Look at this. I've lost almost all of my health, and it's only on medium difficulty. This was back then when kids games were brutal. Like, this game is for fucking 3-year-olds or something, right? Who like Hot Wheels cars. Look at this shit, I'm dead. And you know what the worst thing is? There's no checkpoints. There is not a single checkpoint. I'm just gonna go ahead and go to the main menu and showcase some other parts of the game, because otherwise we're just gonna be here all day, right? We only have 8 minutes left. Let's just go challenge and check out some other stuff this game has to offer. I think this is where the game truly at least according to my taste, it shines, because I prefer a more driving-driven, a more driving-focused experience in a driving game. And that was like my biggest disappointment. Because the thing is, this game is actually not bad in the slightest, especially for a licensed game. The Hot Wheels has had a very good track record of licensed games, seriously. There's a few shitty ones, but for the most part, I mean, Turbo Racing, Beat That, Stunt Track Challenge. That game is an absolute banger. I have to do a video on that shit. I'm making the thumbnail for that like in 5 minutes right now, because that is an incredibly good game. I love Hot Wheels Stunt Track Challenge. Not just the nostalgia. I think I've revisited it several times and it holds up. The graphics hold up really well. The music is, oh man, the music is pretty fucking good. The presentation is fantastic, and the driving, I think, it's one of those weird instances where it's actually an original game that was based off of a movie tie-in. You see, there was the movie Hot Wheels World Race, which is a pretty cool movie, actually. I think it was part of like the Acceleracers thing, whatever it was. And then they made a game out of it, which, from what I can tell, is essentially just a more stylish, but more gameplay-wise stripped down, from what I can tell, I haven't actually played it, version of Hot Wheels Stunt Track Challenge. It's on the same engine, from what I can tell. It looks like it plays the exact same. The presentation in that is fantastic, though. Like, the freaking light trails that come out of the cars and stuff, oh, that's beautiful. I've always thought that game looked amazing, especially for even earlier PS2. It came out, I think, just a year after this one, because Stunt Track Challenge was 2004. This was 2002. They were fucking putting them out there, you know what I mean? And wow, that game looks great. Although the gameplay looks a little dull compared to Stunt Track Challenge. The reason why I like the game so much is because it's very varied. It has a lot of variety to it, because you're not just doing a race, then you'll do a cool stunt challenge, you'll do a little mini game, you'll do another stunt challenge that's different and has a different goal in mind, right? And I like that about it. They realized, I feel like the developers probably made it, well, they made it because whoever was publishing the game paid them to. But no, I imagine they probably didn't have a very strict contract as to exactly what to make the game like. And they were like, okay, what can we do here? So the driving is solid, but a bit tame, a little bit not super exciting for a long period of time. So what do we do about that? Let's set the game in a game show. That's genius, right? Contextualize it in a game show and have you do a whole bunch of cool shit, but make sure it's all tied to the driving. Don't go too off the rails. And it worked. Honestly, that game's fantastic. I gotta do a video on it. I like it so much, I've spent most of this video just talking about it instead of Velocity X. And that's because, I don't know, I think it's really cool to see a licensed kind of toy game like this try and take, and I don't want to say take a risk, but to implement like a story, a very bare bones story, but still with these characters where, You guys, you can't just slap a fucking gray mustache on a baby-faced character and call him an old man. It's like, I'm sorry, but are wrinkles that hard to render in 2002? I wouldn't think so. Whatever. Oh, cool. Wait, hold on. I just realized this is also a challenge type mode because you're not just doing races. I don't mind this. This is more of an, I think calling it arcade mode would make more sense because of the varied objectives. Now, I don't actually know how many of these have to smash. I'm just going to keep breaking through them as much as I can. Look at the LODs on the texture. It's pretty funny. But I think this is one of those examples where I think this kind of mode almost saves the game because, as I said, the missions can not only be very punishing, even though I haven't played the game on easy mode, maybe it makes it easier, but like, okay, I won. But like, should you really have to use an easy mode on a game like this? I know it's from a different time, but still, to be fair, that seems to be a trend in the Hot Wheels series. Because Unleashed, fuck me, that game is hard on the hardest difficulty. Like, its rubber banding is, I don't even know if it's really the rubber banding or if it's just the AI balancing in general, but it's tough. Like, really, like, these games are surprisingly tough. Also, Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. That game is ridiculously hard on the highest difficulty setting. I'm not even kidding. And with that one, it makes more sense because it's a fucking game from '99. It's like, okay, sure, back then every game was tough as shit. But, wow. I even with the twin mill, I can't fucking win. Ever. I'm scared to think of what this game is like on hard mode, although these challenges so far aren't too difficult. I imagine they stay the same. Look, I'm sure that the... Oh... Fuck, just one, you asshole. Okay, fucking do it again. Do it again, come on. Yes, I know, restart. Oh, is it gonna do a freaking menu loading screen? Why? That's annoying, but whatever. Anyway, what was I talking about? I am at least like 95% sure that the game's difficulty, at least its idea of difficulty, is just to give you more or less health. I'm sure that's what it does. Like, you set it to easy mode and you could take more damage or something, which I think is fine. I have a very mixed relationship when it comes to games that change the difficulty, to change the game design depending on the difficulty. On one hand, it shows a higher level of effort put into the game because it takes more effort and to just change some numbers around. But at the same time, yo, come on, I gotta get some speed up to get that, seriously? How much time do we even have? Crap. But at the same time, I don't like it when it alters the experience too much. I don't know, I'm a little mixed when it comes to that. Fuck me. Okay, these physics are very odd, but I don't think they're necessarily... we gotta restart it now. Except it's not gonna... Wait a second, I forgot. What was my speed up button? I think I had a speed up button. Wasn't it tab? Or was it F4? Yep, it's F4. Oh shit, here we go. Just make sure not to hit the record button by accident. But let's start wrapping it up because at this point I'm just kind of rambling over random gameplay. So Velocity X, I think it's a very odd, and god damn it, it's an odd example of the kind of game that it is. And I think it does it very well, considering that it was most likely very rushed, because these kind of games are always very rushed. I think the developers did a really good job in creating a highly replayable, and I fucked up, I know. I'm just going to sit here. They created it's a replayable experience because of all the different challenges and the different cars you can unlock. And it's strange to see a Hot Wheels game take on the vehicular combat genre. And I like how the game's tone is a little bit dark, too. Like, it's not edgy or anything, but it's not quite as lighthearted as what the games would become. Although, to be fair, Turbo Racing actually does have its dark moments as well, at least thematically for the tracks, and the soundtrack is super weird. Here, the soundtrack is, like, completely forgettable. I don't know what the fuck is going on most of the time. It's just these super stock bluesy riffs. Dun 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 bum 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 bum. It's completely forgettable music compared to, you know, even... Oh, beat that. Holy shit, that game's soundtrack is... If you've seen my review I did a while ago, yeah, that game's soundtrack is incredible. Just chunky metal riffs and cool alternative rock songs and electronic, and oh, it's great. The loops are a little short for my taste, but other than that, it's pretty fantastic. But this game's soundtrack is whatever. Anyway, what else do I have to talk about before I mean, it's pretty much it, to be honest. I want to say, like, this game doesn't hold up, but I think it's better than I remember it being as a kid, but unfortunately it's better in the ways that makes it worse to me today because of my change in taste. As in, I don't like this kind of driving game, right? But that's just me. So anyway, that's going to do it for this episode of Focus on B, the video series, where I spent about 20 or so minutes playing and talking about a game that I've been thinking about, like in this case, that being Velocity X. So this has been Hot Wheels for... You weak, pathetic fool. Shut the fuck up, man. Anyway, this has been Velocity X 2002, PS2, GameCube. I'm not sure if it was on the Xbox, and it was definitely also on the PC.